Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Good Faith Gaming. I'm your host Ben, and today we're talking about my rating system, how I think about rating games, and basically on a scale from 1 to 10, what each of the different levels mean, and examples from games from each of those levels. And before I get started, if you don't mind hitting the hype button to help my channel find a little bit more visibility in this competitive landscape, I'd greatly appreciate it. You got two different ways you can think about a 1 through 10 ranking scale or A through F ranking scale, anything like that. It can be normative referenced, which means scores are distributed relative to each other. So if everyone did perfectly, you'd still force some into a lower bracket to fit the curve that you want. I use an absolute scale, which means each score is judged on its own merit against fixed standards. That means that if every game were, for example, a 10 out of 10, they would all get 10s. There's no requirement to balance things around an average. And so I'm gonna start at the bottom, your classic 1 out of 10 video game. With this scale, I tried to use examples of games I've played, but I can honestly say I've never played a 1 out of 10 game before. A 1 out of 10 game in my mind is a game that is broken beyond repair. It's basically unplayable because of technical issues, but even if the technical issues were solved, it would still be an awful game. Like there's no redeeming game under even the technical issues. An example I wouldn't use would be something like Cyberpunk on PS4 when it launched and it was broken. Because underneath the technical issues, there's still a really good game there. There's just technical issues preventing you from playing it. And the game that I chose for my example for a 1 out of 10 game is this game called Big Rigs that I've never heard of. I had to look it up, but it's one of the worst games ever apparently. It came out in 2003, and it's this racing game where you're trucks. And again, it's famously broken. There's no collision detection, there's no AI, no physics. And so even if it hadn't been broken, it's a bland game with no personality and no redeeming qualities. Like, why would you play it? And I looked at videos for this game, and it is indeed hilarious to watch. So that's a 1 out of 10, just a dog crap game, not a good game. A 2 out of 10 game is almost as bad. Maybe there's not as many technical issues. Maybe it's playable, but it's still just like bottom of the barrel, like shovelware, like there's no soul or anything in these games. An example of that, I had to look this one up as well. There's this game called Family Party, 30 Great Games Obstacle Arcade. It has an 11 on Metacritic. It's the lowest rated game on Metacritic. Game Revolution calls it terrible, not only bad, but borderline unplayable. This is a Wii U game, and it just looks like a holdover from the shovelware era of Wii. It just, from the video I was watching that you're seeing right now, it looks horrible, no fun. Why would you ever play it? This is a classic 2 out of 10 game, no redeeming qualities. A 3 out of 10, this is where things kind of start to get interesting. A 3 out of 10 is a bad game with bad mechanics. So what's the difference between a 2 and a 3? Well, you know, maybe a 3 out of 10 has like good music or something. Like there's at least like one thing that's okay with it, but again, bottom of the barrel. The game I pulled for reference on this is this game called Afro Samurai 2 Revenge of Kuma. This game, even the developer called it a failure. They quit selling it and canceled the sequel, and they actually refunded everyone too. A horrible game, maybe not as bad as a 2 or a 1, but this is a prime example of a 3 out of 10. Maybe another example would be that Gollum game that came out a few years ago that's supposed to be horrible. The next is the 4 out of 10. This is a game that you just didn't like playing, but maybe it has good aspects that you could objectively recognize, like it has like decent graphics or it has music that you like, but overall the experience was negative. You didn't have fun. The example I use from this is the first game I have played, which is the original Assassin's Creed. I played this game for the first time earlier this year, and I just thought it was horrible. The thing I didn't like about it the most was the combat. You're not really in control of your character. It's like this timed rhythm game or something where there's these animations that you got to do, and it's easy to get mobbed by like, 12 enemies. And so you're just like sitting there hitting the X button over and over. Maybe I played it wrong, but I put 10 hours into it and just really didn't enjoy the game. But I can also recognize that when it came out in like 2007, 2008, that it probably was a breakthrough game, like climbing on towers and the vistas you can see. I'm sure that was really impressive back in the day. And the music and the acting were good, but overall, I just did not like playing this game. The next is the 5 out of 10 game. This, to me, is equal parts good and bad. And the best way to describe that is when you're done playing the game, you're kind of like, I played it, you might as well have just like wasted your time, because it's like you don't really feel positive or negative about it. And the example I have for this game is Final Fantasy Crisis Core. I played the re-release of it a few years ago. There are good parts of it. I liked the combat, I liked the roulette system. It was like a very unique idea. I didn't like the characters, I didn't like the story. And by the end, I was just like, I pretty much saw it through just so I could check it off. Like I could be done with this game. I could say I played Crisis Core, but I felt nothing for that game when I was done. It was just like blah. So that's a 5 out of 10. All right, a 6 out of 10 is a game that overall I enjoyed. I personally like this game, but it's not something I would recommend people play. The flaws are apparent, but it's still a game that you mostly like. And so an example for this would be Hyrule Warriors, like Age of Calamity, or Luigi's Mansion, the original. Fine games, enjoyable games. Like I don't regret playing them. They weren't thrilling. They weren't like really that memorable to me. And if you're a fan of a series like Mario or Zelda, it's something you want to play. But that's about the end of it. Now on to 7 out of 10s. This is, in my mind, your basic C category. These are solid games. They're good games, but they're just, not like special, not spectacular. Examples from my personal experience would be like Pikmin 1. I loved it when it came out, but I played it a few months ago. It was good, like I enjoyed it, but nothing phenomenal, especially for what came after. The Xenoblade games are another example. Solid games, but not my favorite in the genre. Fire Emblem Engage and Final Fantasy 1 and 2. Again, good games, solid games, but in my mind, they're 7s. Like, they're good. Like, I don't regret playing them, but that's about it. Persona 3 Reload, Mario Wonder, Alan Wake 2, Death Stranding 2, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. These are all games I've played recently that were great experiences. I love them. There were some flaws and some issues I had with the game, maybe some frustrating moments or mechanics that weren't fully explored, stuff like that. Maybe the story fell flat. But overall, good games I would recommend, but we're not to the top echelon yet. Next is 9 out of 10 games. And these are games that I consider perfect for their genre. Like they're the encapsulation of what the genre should be. They're some of the best, but they don't really break any new ground, and they won't really be brought up as far as like best games of all time. And so games I've played recently in this genre would be Metaphor ReFantazio, Astrobot, Stellar Blade, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Pikmin 4, and Octopath Traveler 2. That if you were to look up like what is a JRPG, for instance, like you would see Octopath Traveler 2 or like Persona 3 Reload. It's like they're prime examples of the genre. They don't do hardly anything wrong. They're they're bread and butter games, but they're not the cream of the crop. And that's where we get to 10 out of 10 games. These are best in class games, and they push the genre forward. They changed the game. Everybody, if you make a game after this, you're gonna be compared to the 10 out of 10. And so examples of 10 out of 10 games would be Witcher 3, Zelda Ocarina of Time, Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, Metal Gear Solid 1, Final Fantasy 7, Super Mario World, Super Mario 64, Elden Ring, Halo, Baldur's Gate 3, games that, if not universally praised and beloved, pretty damn close. These are games that most people recognize as changing the industry. And so that's how I think about games when I'm rating them. All right, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope maybe your rating scale a little bit differently. I'll try to post the scale in the comments so you have something to look at while we go through this. But anyways, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next week. Hi, I'm Ben. I like turtles. What do you like?
Cat.
Get out of here.